Now, if you're squatting in a downswing and it is making you worse, you're hitting some really poor quality shots, no distance, no consistency, these are the 3 reasons why that's happening. Because squatting in a downswing should be making you hit the ball a lot further and straighter. So let's dive straight into it. So the first reason is you are lowering down as you are getting up to the top of the swing. This is so unbelievably common because when players are wanting to lower down with that squat in the start of the downswing, a lot of players will do that early. So that's in anticipation for the move. So let's say I'm getting up to the top here and I start to gradually get closer to the ground. Now, if I gradually get closer to the ground and then I squat some more from there, I am now so low to the ground, my swing arc and swing radius has plummeted into the earth. If I do that and try to swing all the way through, so go down and then down again, I completely chunk it just like that. So that's where what you'd see most players do, if they go down up to the top of the swing and they try to go down more from there, they will actually start to stand up, really drive their body up, because then that gets the club coming out of the ground again. So it would look a little bit like this. And you'll just be horrendously early extending. You won't get any power. You'd actually hit the ball shorter from your intention of trying to squat. So what we want to do and how to fix this, we want to stay ideally at the exact same height we were at setup to at the top of the swing. We need to stay in that same posture because we know, like we say, with all the best players in the world, they will have absolutely that little lowering down, that squatting movement. But we need to start that from the same spot we were at address so we don't plummet the swing arc too much into the ground. If we can get up to the top, keeping our height in simple terms, we will allow ourselves to squat. So a little feel I like players to do here who really struggle with this main issue here is imagine with your body you're starting a lawnmower. So let's say with everything when we're starting a lawnmower, what does it look like? We're down here pulling the cord just like so. So I'm not necessarily lunging my body upwards. What's happening is my body is turning, but it's extending at the same time, which is keeping that height as I pull that cord. Now, here's the difference when it comes to starting a lawnmower with a golf swing. You don't want to be pulling the cord. That's the thing. We don't want that movement to happen in the golf swing. That will really get your right arm stuck. So the body movement is what we want, starting a lawnmower. That's our feel. So if we can apply that feel into the golf ball, we're going to be in a much, much better spot. So a little drill you could do also with this is get yourself standing to a wall. So I'm just going to go with the side of my netting here. So ultimately, I want to stand with my head pretty much touching the wall like here. Grab the club really close to the club head there, just like that. And then turn up to the top and make sure that head is still maintaining contact with the wall. Now, if you're lowering down, you're going to feel your head great down the wall. So you could even give yourself a little space there, maybe 4 fingers of difference or so. Because when we move down the golf swing, we'll also move forward. So if I keep that space as well in this adaptation from my head to the wall, that's going to be a great way to go. So this will make you able to functionally squat. So we need that feel in there. If you're lowering down too much, you are going to be having a bad time when you try to squat. You will absolutely be hitting the ball worse. So keep that height, absorb that feel from the drill, lawnmower feel, and that will be great to get started on getting yourself actually improving from squatting. Now, the second reason of why when you're squatting, you're hitting the ball worse is all to do with this, the right leg, and again in the backswing and how it affects you in the downswing. So I'll see a lot of golfers getting up to the top of their swing with their right leg like this, completely bent, completely flexed. So if you are getting up to the top of the swing with a really bent right leg, what that does as you turn up to the top, that keeps your hips, so your 2 hip bones really level. So your left and right hip bone are completely level with each other. So then when you try to go into the downswing and you try to squat with level hips, that will then tilt your upper body backwards, and that will result in most likely fat shots and some real flippy ones. So we don't want this bracing, this bent right leg. This used to be instruction back in the day of keeping and resisting that hip turn, turning into that braced right side. That's rubbish. We don't want to do that. That will destroy your lower back as well. Because if we go here, I mean, lots of players will try to do this because it's a squatted position. So I think, why don't I just try to get to that squatted position from the get-go at the top of my swing? But then hip tilt, left side will raise too high, or stay level, and you can see immediately tilts the upper body back. When the upper body tilts back, just like we said, swing arc is going to plummet and the low point will get into the ground there. So it'll be really nasty, you'll get really flippy. It just won't be very powerful. So again, we want squatting to be, one, a good power producer in the swing, and two, to actually make us hit the ball straighter. So here's what we want to do and how to fix that issue also. So when we get up to the top of the swing, we want this right leg to extend. We want it to get to a place where it can be at the maximum of just short of completely locking out the leg. We don't want to lock it, because then we've got to unlock it again. No good, you won't be able to squat from that. You'll just have the right leg stay straight. So we want it to straighten to just short of lockout. That is ideal, because then what's that doing? If that right leg is gradually extending, getting up to the top of the swing, that's keeping the right side of the pelvis higher than the left, giving you a tilt. So then, as we start to turn down and get that lowering, that left side is staying down, and that will keep the upper body on top. And then you can just continue to turn. Tilt is so important, and creating good tilt at the top of the swing with that right side being extending is so unbelievably key. So let that right leg just lose some flex up to the top. Again, don't need to straighten it fully. Just losing a little bit of flex. It's going to give you a good tilt. That's going to make you be able to squat into the left side, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And that's going to be great for you. Boom. So a good little drill you can do for this: grab your club. Now, put your club and club head portion of the shaft just behind your left leg, so your left knee. And you'll have your, this side here, obviously the right side of the shaft where the grip is, just in front of your right leg. And then just do kind of like a backswing rotation feel and just give this a little push with your hands, and that's going to straighten up your right leg. So of course, if we're trying to turn and you're keeping this braced, you're not going to be able to do anything. So just that sensation of giving yourself some turn creates good hip tilt, then creates good functional squatting pattern for one big key component of squatting, which is tilting and keeping your tilt. Remember, the golf ball's on the ground, guys. Golf's a rotational sport. You need to stay tilted to the golf ball. So after you've done that drill, absorb that feeling and then replicate that into the golf ball. Okay, number three here, this is by far the most common reason of why when you're squatting, you're hitting the ball worse, is because you are physically just trying to squat. Sounds strange, doesn't it? But absolutely, the golf squatting movement isn't really a squat. You know, it's barely a lowering down. The pelvis does move down, but that's not happening via just squatting, because if you just lower yourself down towards the ground, what you're going to do again, you're going to plummet the swing height, the radius of the swing, way into the ground again. So then if you don't do anything to make it come back up and you just physically just try to squat, you're going to hit the ball really worse. You're going to really fat it, just like that. So you can still shift, you can still do all that, but if you're too low to the ground via just trying to squat, knee flexion, you're going to fat it. So what we would see players do again, they would actually just try to stand up. So they'll have a lowering squat and just physically trying to squat, not doing it the right way. And then they'll stand up to get the club coming out of the ground again. Then they'll hit these weak, really high, early extended shots. And the fix for this is we want to squat, not via squatting, via hip flexion. So if you've watched a lot of my channel, you knew this would be in the video, absolutely. So that is where, as we get up to a good top of the backswing there, keeping our height, good right leg extension, lovely, got the tilt, got the height, put the key in the door. Now we just need to unlock it and walk through the door. So now what we need to do is move into hip flexion. So that is where the pelvis sinks back. So for me, right-handed golfer, that'll be the left side starts to move backwards. So when the left side moves back, left side of the pelvis, that will then push the hips back. But when the hips push back, you'll start to gain flexion of the knees. But you'll also notice how the upper body moves down. So I will have a little bit of a pelvic drop. But if I do that, again, from those good points we had before, I'm going to keep my tilt and I'm going to be really starting to turn and rotate. And that's the thing here. If we keep pushing that left hip back and back and back and back and back, you're then going to get that force that you've put into the ground from squatting back out the ground again, dropping and then vertically extending, because the vertical extension part from just continuing to push the left hip back, see how my left leg is now extending. That's getting that power I put into the ground from hip flexion, squatting, and now it's coming back out as we get through impact. So Squatting is essentially hip flexion. We just got to push the left hip back, starting the downswing, and really exaggerate it there, pushing that left hip back. And it really makes the sequencing of the downswing really sort itself out. So the drill. What is the drill or even feel for this? So we could talk about a little bit of a similar thing later as well. And that is we get this. So it could be swing plate, it could just be an alignment stick out the ground. Obviously, me being here, not on grass, I'm gonna need a swing plate. So I'll just put this just behind my left hip here. So I'm not really having it anywhere close to me. So I've got it behind the left hip. It's almost about half a club's distance behind me. What is my goal here? I want to get as close as I physically possibly can to that in the downswing, immediately to start the downswing. I want to get that left hip back to where I'm hitting it. So just have set up to your ball, have this just out, just back behind your left hip by about half a grip's distance. If you get yourself to where you try to push that left hip back, you are going to get into more hip flexion. You're going to start to squat. And if you've done these other pieces in this video as well, you're going to be having very, very functional, good, long, straight shots from the squatting. Now guys, let's dive into a feel for the golf course before we talk about the best drill for this. So, okay, feel for the golf course. So this is really going to target that downswing portion. So make sure you've got those other areas in there via looking at your golf swing and saying, okay, if that one needs to tweak, I'll work on that in the range until it feels better. So again, there's little feels there, as we said before, to help you with this. But for the golf course, right, okay, squatting, like we said, hip flexion. So to get this in kind of more of like, let's say, an athletic feel. So a lot of players, when they try to squat, like we said, they just go down. Now, squatting is like, of course, the vertical kind of jump that an athlete, like say a high jumper, would do. It's creating vertical force in the golf swing. So they would lower down to jump up. It's the upward thrusting bit, which is the powerful bit of it. Actually, squatting is the loading of power. Like with a high jumper, they're lowering down to really get themselves to spring back up again. But now we know golf swing is rotational. So we can't just do it on a vertical plane. We have to do it, of course, on a rotational plane. So again, you can try this at home if you're athletic enough, which I'm certainly not, so this might be funny watching me do it. But imagine you want to jump and you want to get your body to jump to where now it's facing behind. So I'll hold my club just for the sake of it, but let me jump to where I'm going behind, let's say top of the backswing position. Let me jump to where I swivel myself around. There. That is ultimately the totality of squatting and vertical force. So if we are doing that, what we're going to do, we're going to lower down. You're going to be pushing your pelvis back. Your left side's going to extend so much that then going through impact, which doesn't move you forward, it actually keeps you turning. And if you do that a lot, you're going to spin round. So that is generally our feeling. So having that conceptually in there, having this kind of jumping around to where you face behind you, that is our squatting feeling in general, but matched up with the vertical aspect of it. So if we feel that, but without the jump part of it, where we're spinning around in the golf shot, so like I'm just preparing to jump and spin all the way around, then that gets me into that correct sequencing of squatting, but the vertical portion as well, and puts it into more of an athletic type of move. Now, again, can we all do this jump round? No, we can't. Absolutely not everyone can. Senior golfers will really find it hard to do that. But if you are just trying to replicate that movement as well as you can, that's going to be good enough. You don't have to do things perfectly in the golf swing technical wise to see the benefits of it. We just want that right concept, because that's going to get you lowering, but getting hip flexion and extending, which is what we need to do through the golf ball. So again, that same feel, that felt very, very good. So it just makes it a little bit more instinctual, a little bit more athletic, and that gives you the totality of everything else in the downswing also. So, favorite drill for this? Again, like you've seen on my channel, I talk about the chair drill a lot. I talk about that drill a lot, so that's not gonna be in the video today, even though that's very, very good. But the one we talked about for left hip flexion, in my opinion, is the best one to get you from this video to really get that squat in there. So again, using my swing plate here, and then put that again, about half a grip, or half a club's distance, sorry, behind my left glute, so my left hip area, to a point where we cannot hit it. We can't hit it from here, but that's the point. We want to get ourselves going past what we really would do. Because if we had it here, which is like behind your hip, which I've seen so many people do, Again, you could feel like you're pushing it back. Great, that can be good. But I feel like it doesn't create as strong of a feel for most golfers. I feel like if they do give themselves a big gap and they're trying to close in on that gap, that does a world of good for them. So just like before, getting it about half a club, brilliant. Trying to hit it as well as I can. Get our other key points, keeping high, getting that tilt. Could do that little golf course feel as well, jumping around behind us. Let's give it a go. Oh, now that feels powerful. Again, haven't had a warm-up hitting balls today before doing videos. As you can see, it's wet, it's cold here in Scotland, it's coming to the winter time. And that felt like a fully warmed up, powerful shot. The shots you've seen me hit here are the shots, only shots I've been hitting. So, and that felt quickly like my body quickly got the sequencing and be able to nicely move in good sequencing. And these feel like really nice, powerful shots like I've been warming up for an hour. So again, another one. Oh, again, that felt great. So these are the reasons why when you squat, you're hitting worse, you're playing worse. So that isn't because squatting's bad. Absolutely isn't. Again, you're technically not even squatting, it's hip flexion. But this, if you follow this video, that is going to make you, so one, you're going to be hitting the ball a lot longer when you get the hang of it. Of course, you still need to practice it. And two, you're going to hit the ball a lot straighter because it gives you perfect rotational sequencing. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button if you want more golf instruction, just like this, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.